Good evening and welcome back to another episode of the Shotcallers podcast. Full squad in the house. Kyle's cracking up. Robin's here with me. Say what's up to the people, Robin, while Kyle composes himself.
What's up, guys?
Kyle, how you doing over there?
I'm doing good. Robin just said something dumb, and I tried to hold it in, but once the intro started, I couldn't be serious.
All right, well, I guess we'll save that for the bloopers. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us on this late Thursday night going into Friday. The date is April 9th. As we're recording this. We just got done wrapping up the Heat versus the Lakers rematch of the finals once again, even though there's like 19 different faces on the court. And the Clippers versus the Suns, matchups at the top of the Western Conference. Two exciting games for two different reasons, kind of unexpectedly. And let's get right into it, guys. Let's go straight to the Heat versus Lakers. But actually, before that, still the housekeeping. Where can people find the show, guys? Robin?
Twitter, Instagram at Shotcallers Show. They can also go on anywhere a podcast is found. They can go YouTube, all that.
Spotify, Anchor, Pocket Casts, Radio.com, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. Please leave a rating and a review. And we are taking submissions for our mailbag episode to maybe get to know the new host a little bit, get our takes on some things that are outside of the national game. So please send in those requests. And where is that inbox, Kyle? Do you remember?
Well, our email is also at shotcallershow at gmail.com. So
that
you can
is
send
called
us mail.
Search engine optimization. Same title everywhere you look. So, all right. Now that we got that out of the way, the Heat versus the Lakers. The Heat were favored by 8 points, right? They needed 8 points to cover the spread. If you guys chimed in on our Instagram page, you would have seen that Kyle, Robin, and I all took the Heat to cover that spread. Unsuccessfully, thanks to a Dennis Schroeder layup, but that's, cut into the end of it. The Heat, man, they came out blazing. Trevor Ariza, of all people, was cutting to the rim like crazy, getting to the rim, drawing fouls. The Heat had 18 free throws in the first quarter. The Lakers were turning it over like crazy, and it looked like they were going to really run away with it after Andre Drummond had some foul trouble, had a weird kind of like foot problem that he aggravated in the first quarter. It didn't come back till late in the second, but they came back, forced a bunch of turnovers the other way. What looked like a really awesome defensive game with low scoring ended up being relatively high scoring by those teams' standards, because those guys were scoring so many points out of turnovers, ending up with 110 victory for Miami over the Lakers, scoring 104. Of course, missing LeBron James, missing Anthony Davis, missing Talen Horton-Tucker, who was suspended after that wrestling match with OG Anunoby and the Raptors. So now that I've told you guys what happened, broadly in the game, what minutia stood out to you guys? Kyle, what'd you like from this game?
What I like from this game, the Lakers really showed their depth. They really kept up with Miami. Like, even though they got down a lot in the first quarter, they came back in the second quarter and they kept it close like throughout the game. I believe they even had a lead in the third quarter, but just Miami's talent was able to pull back the lead and keep it for the rest of the game throughout the fourth and stuff. But the Lakers' depth really showed up. They competed. Schroeder's showing off his smarts like throughout the entire game. Like, he didn't have a field goal until
he had a horrible shooting game.
He didn't have a field goal until like late in the third or the fourth or something. But he kept on drawing like so many fouls, like on Precious Achiuwa. Like,
man, you're cutting right to what I want to ask y'all about. So, Schroeder's being pursued by Precious, coming up the rear. And I guess we'll just get started with this. And then he stops his dribble, a total Chris Paul move. Dennis Schroeder was playing behind Chris Paul just last season on the Thunder. And then Precious runs into him. The rookie doesn't know. He just bowls him right over, gets a foul call. And Eric Spoelstra, Robin, said, "That's not basketball. That's not fucking basketball," to the rest. And I gotta say, so that's just gonna get started with that. Reggie Miller had a different take, or Chris Webber had a different take. What do you think? Is that a basketball move? Should that be legislated against the offensive player for pulling something like that, where they just stop their dribble and allow themselves to get run over by the defending trailer?
I think that's a basketball move, because if on offense, if you're driving to the lane and someone's going to take a charge, you have to be in control. On defense, it's the same thing. You can't run wild and just run into people. Yeah, he's stopped, which I get it, but they've been doing this for so long now, so it's definitely a basketball move. I don't know if Eric Spoelstra can say whatever he wants, but I think it's a basketball move. It is definitely boring to watch. It's not fun because you're gonna go to the line or it's gonna stop the fast break, but it's a smart thing. You see all like veterans point guards doing it. Schroeder, you see Chris Paul doing it, Rondo doing it. So I think it's a basketball move.
My man, before I let you, respond to that, Kyle, if you have a different opinion. Speaking of slowing the game down and being whack to watch, how many fouls were in this game?
Yeah,
the game,
there were so many.
Like I got started into the Clippers game late, 4 minutes late into the show, just because it was running so long from all the foul calls and commercial breaks. Kyle, do you think that's a basketball play? Being a basketball player yourself?
I thought it was a basketball play. I thought it was a. I agree with Robin for once. And yeah, I thought it was a smart play. He was kind of toying with not only Precious but like multiple other players on the Heat. He was drawing fouls from Andre Iguodala, Bam. Bam was in foul trouble or well throughout most of the game. That's why he sat out until like like midway through the fourth or something. Uh, but yeah, he was really smart, and even though he didn't score until like late in the third, or in the fourth, he had like 9 assists in like the first half, so he was getting his teammates involved. Like, he was hustling, especially on defense. Like, it wasn't just on offense he was drawing fouls. Like on defense he was drawing fouls. Like he was all over the place, just not on the scoreboard.
Hmm. Gotcha. So Dennis Schroeder
Yeah,
gets his due praise, even in
yeah,
the losing effort. Another
yeah,
guy that kind of stood out for me a lot, and you mentioned him already, was Bam Adebayo. Yeah, he had some foul trouble, but his presence was felt all around the paint. Big offensive
yeah,
rebounds, good box outs of Andre Drummond, who didn't reach his season average for rebounding. It's kind of rough because he only played a couple games. He's back from injury,
yeah.
but he didn't get his 14, 15 boards that like he normally does. A monster down there. And even just like when Tavius Caldwell-Pope, who can score in spurts. He can lay
Mhm.
it up. He can shoot
Yeah.
a three. He can put the ball on the ground. Just being there behind him, or the fear of him, caused Tavius
Oh
Caldwell-Pope
yeah,
to
it
like
does.
super miss a layup. Super.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. That was
God.
funny.
And even but before that, I'll give him a lower props because he had a freaking NBA
He actually
Street
had a good
Volume
game.
3,
Oh
spinning
yeah, layup.
layup high off the glass, like looking
Yeah.
wonderful, looking like a Steve Nash layup in NBA Street where he's just not allowed to dunk, so he just gets the
Yeah.
flashiest highlight package of layups. So
Hmm.
that's something that made me laugh. Robin, did you mention what stood out the most to you during this game?
It's the free throws. The Heat had 40 free throws.
Hmm.
They had
40.
18 in the first quarter.
They
Yeah.
had 12. I thought, yeah, and I know Oladipo had 6 points in the first quarter, I think, and he had 6 free throws.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you're not gonna win a game if you let the other team go to the free throw line 50 times or 40 times.
Uh,
That-
Especially compared to when they only went to the free throw line like 25 times.
yeah, and I think that fits into Miami's like system. It's play good defense and get easy baskets, which free throw is probably the easiest basket you can get besides like an open fast break. But Jimmy Butler going to the line 12 times. I think Jimmy Butler, even though he's obviously a superstar and he's like crazy good, I still think he's underrated at times. Like you don't hear his name.
Hmm.
We talk about the top 5 players, top 10 players, but he can do it on defense. He can do it on offense. I mean, he can do it anywhere, and yet he still kind of gets underappreciated, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's because you don't see him in all that many, highlight clips that go around on Twitter besides his like interviews that are crazy because he speaks his mind or says wild
Yeah.
stuff. It's because he's big and strong, draws a lot of fouls.
Hmm.
That's his MO. He's led the
Yeah.
league in fouls drawing for portions of seasons previously. Right up there with James Harden, who gets all the hate for
Hmm.
drawing all the fouls. But Jimmy Butler, I almost called him James Butler. Jimmy Butler, he uses his body. He doesn't burst into open spaces and dunk with ferocity all the time. He's manhandling you, putting guys like Dennis Schroeder kind of in the spin cycle and saying, you can't stay in front of me because my muscles are too gigantic. And that's
Yeah.
not Twitter, fast food for retweets, which is why he seems underrated, I think. But Jimmy Butler,
Oh,
what a man's man. Like that guy,
yeah.
he just exerts his will and gets to the line. You were about to say something, Kyle?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I feel like he doesn't get as much hate because of, how strong he is, and that's why he draws so many fouls compared to like James Harden, who has really long arms and he moves his arms through the contact all the time and kind of forces the foul or almost or like grabs somebody else inadvertently,
Yeah,
and
he
so that
James
that
Harden opens
was
the cookie jar and makes
yeah.
you foul him.
Yeah. So that's probably why he gets a lot more hate than Jimmy Butler, but yeah, he's just that dude, bro. Like he's that dude when he's out there on the floor like even on defense, he's one of two guys that has more steals and fouls, him and Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, yeah, what a
So,
stat.
yeah.
Yeah, what a great
Yeah.
one. Man, I used
Yeah.
to exalt Kawhi Leonard. I was like, man,
Mhm.
JV, the old host of the Shot Callers, this guy is so good. He's
OG.
got more steals than fouls. And JV was like,
Mhm.
man, that's crazy. And now,
Yeah, that
yeah,
is
I'm
crazy.
learning, looking back, that Jimmy Butler is doing the same thing. That's wild
Mhm.
because you got to have aggression to get the steals up that high,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
the quick hands and the preciseness to get the steal
Yeah.
successfully without fouling, which is
Mhm.
crazy. But you need
Mhm.
reputation to get that too, and he's earned it.
Mhm.
And he doesn't get a lot of hate like you said because he has such a likable personality. Whereas James
Yeah, that's
Harden
true
doesn't
too.
really. He's not a very extroverted person. The most like memeable James Harden moment that you can think of is that time when they were talking about his conditioning and he went like this when he was on the Rockets. So
Oh
I guess
yeah.
I guess when you said most memeable James Harden moment, I thought of recently when he called Chris Paul a midget. He got the midget back.
oh, dang, I forgot about that. What is your
Uh,
okay? We're talking about most memorable James Harden moments. What about the time that Giannis hit him in the face with the basketball super hard? Oh
Ow, that
man.
hurt. Ow. I laughed too hard. Actually, I hurt myself. Ow. Oh, that hurts actually.
While
Oh.
Kyle recovers, Robin, do you have any memeable James Harden moments that you remember?
Y'all remember the whole incident where he used to do the little thing where like the little chef
Yeah,
thingy,
Yeah.
and then that rapper like cursed him, and he actually started
Lil
sucking.
B, Lil B,
Oh, and
yeah,
Lil
Yeah,
B.
the bass guy.
yeah. And then eventually it was like the curse is lifted, and James
Oh
Harden started
yeah.
doing good again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, wow. It's not really a meme, but that's what sticks out to me. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't remember that, but that's right there in my head.
Um. Okay, great. I'm glad that we got through the meme section of today's game with a player that didn't even show up tonight. But I did have a couple of other notes, and we have buried the lead on this because this is probably what's going to be making a lot of headlines tomorrow morning once Shams and Woj are done conducting medical tests on Victor Oladipo and reporting the results before the hospital knows. But Victor Oladipo went up for a dunk in open space, and when he was hanging on the rim, kind of was like, something hurt, and he limped back on defense and kind of was trying to work it out and got pulled from the game after having a very awesome game. You mentioned
Yeah.
Oladipo got to the line a bunch, driving a lot through the lane, and playing stellar defense, like really awesome in
Yeah.
passing lanes, great
Mhm.
contesting shots without fouling. Tyler Hero could learn a thing or two from that. Tyler Hero had
Mhm.
an egregious like jump out closeout on a 3-point shooter that draw three fouls that he wasn't going to make anyway. I think it was Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Um,
Mhm.
Oladipo is good at defending without fouling, and even if he's not shooting super great, he is averaging 20 points for the season by getting to the line quite often, and that was something that I could tell the Heat were looking forward to. And now that that's kind of in question, um, is that kind of in line with what you were afraid was going to happen with the Heat, Robin? Were you thinking that this is what was going to happen with Oladipo, or were you thinking he was more likely to kind of probably finish this season off more in a healthy manner? Like, where were you thinking it might have gone?
I mean, obviously it was a major win for them this season, probably in the playoffs, helping them out. But I think it was also more of a Jimmy Butler's kind of getting old, and we have someone to transition into to help Bam kind of continue the thing. Because Jimmy Butler's in his 30s, right? Mid
I
30s.
think he's 30.
Right?
I think he might be
Yeah, yeah.
31 at
I
the
think he
latest.
just
He's oh, I
yeah,
thought he
he
was way
just
older.
turned.
Let me check.
Yeah, no, he's not
Anyways,
he's not that old.
okay. Well, they got Victor Oladipo, who's a little bit younger as well.
He's
But
31, just to inform the viewers.
yeah, okay. And then Victor Oladipo's like what, like late 20s, right? So a couple years younger. I think he's 27 or 28. Um,
Something like
28,
that.
you're right.
but 20. Okay, yeah. So it's kind of like how the Mavs took a chance on KP. It's like if he's healthy, nobody's gonna want to play him. But it's the fact that if he can stay healthy and over time, I think they need to kind of rest management like rest manage him
Hmm.
over back to backs and whatnot, just because he hasn't consistently stayed healthy since that
Quad
one
injury.
stellar season in Indiana.
Hmm.
But it's kind of like not expected that he was gonna get hurt, but it is something like when you kind of not rush it back, but it's all about your mental. And I feel like it was no contact injury today, so
Hmm.
those are the scariest because those are the ones that usually keep you out the longest.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it was no contact, like you said. And at the time of this recording, Kyle let me know that it was the X-rays were negative, so I guess no
Yeah.
structural damage that was immediate. But they're going to do an MRI that I was joking about
Tomorrow.
earlier for, I guess, musculature,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you guys posted. Uh, what else? What else? What other tidbits did you guys have from this particular game? Lakers side, Alex Caruso looking good, but he did seem to get like hurt on this
Yeah.
crazy contest where he went straight up and got collided into by Oladipo, and then ended up coming back and finishing kind of strong with the headband.
Hmm. I mean, I was gonna say one of the things that stood out to me during this game that, like later on in the second half of this game, I was noticing that Miami's offense was getting a little too predictable with just constantly running the pick and roll with Bam and doing the handoffs and stuff. And I saw like the Lakers were able to capitalize off that and create turnovers off of that as well, like because they were kind of predicting the drop pass and uh, get a steal like quite a few times. And so I just want, especially when Bam's on the floor, like Bam is, they just need to, I guess, change how uh, they incorporate Bam into the offense sometimes instead of just the pick and roll and the handoffs because they just kind of lead into the same actions most of the times, like either Bam and the guard are rolling to the basket, or Bam will stay in the high post, like kind of at the elbow, uh, either looking to take a jump shot or pass it off or to do another handoff and things like that. So I kind of want to maybe just to look for him in the low block or something. Maybe post him up sometimes. Maybe against Andre Drummond wouldn't be the smartest, but against since especially the Lakers switch pretty often, maybe like posting him up when he has a mismatch and things like that. And also Miami is one of the least or they take the least amount of three pointers, uh, which since their defense is so good, it doesn't really hurt them that much right now. But I feel later in the playoffs they're really gonna need that punch from the 3 point line. And one of the benefits of having Victor Oladipo was, because Tyler Hero's been, on and off.
Hmm.
Duncan Robinson, defenses play him really tight, so he doesn't get an opportunity to shoot that often. So I felt like Victor Oladipo would have helped alleviate that pressure from Bam and the offense in general. So hopefully, the injury isn't too serious and he's able to come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, kind of like a release valve, a little bit like Aaron Gordon is
Hmm.
doing in Denver right now. You saw Jimmy Butler, like even with the time winding down, 6 seconds on the shot clock, left corner kind of buried behind KCP, and then he still turns the corner, drives towards the rim, and you can imagine Victor Oladipo doing this the way that Dragic did. Dragic followed behind Butler, kind of on an opposing curve, and Butler had a little dump off pass to Dragic for an and one. Like that's wonderful,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's great if Dragic can be healthy. But he missed several games in the finals because he's getting up there, which is why you got Oladipo as kind of insurance or maybe another threat that can be there at the same time. Because
Hmm.
if they're not going to shoot a lot of threes, they got to manufacture easier points that way. If they're because they're not always going to get the whistles that they're getting right now, even though they get to the line a lot. Because if you look at their shooters, like Tyler Hero's having an okay year. It's not going to have
Yeah.
exponential growth year over year. Duncan Robinson, terrific 3 point shooter, but outside of that, Jimmy Butler doesn't really prefer to take a lot of threes. Dragic can take some. They lost Kelly Olynyk. They brought in Bielitsa, who can be good, but he's just starting out. Trevor Ariza got a
Hmm.
lot of new faces here, so
Yeah.
they're kind of. I think they need to continue to see, and we want to continue to see if they can have more bread and butter options. I think go too consistently when the 3 point shots or the free throws aren't coming all the time. Are you glad that I said the word Bielitsa for you, Robin? What were you gonna say when we brought up Bielitsa?
And I would have
Bajel-
said like
Bajelica.
Bajelica.
And
Uh
oh, uh-huh.
oh, you go. You
Oh, I
finish.
was gonna say just props for the Heat for signing Bielitsa. I've seen him quite often on the Wolves and the Kings because they often come to the Mavericks, home, or they come play the Mavericks at home in Dallas, and Bielitsa's often lighting them up from three. So that guy, he may not look like much as far as like an athletic specimen, but that guy's kind of crafty. He can make a simple pass to an open man, swing it around the perimeter, and can shoot from three, and is really tall. So if he's near the bucket, he can kind of lay it in. So that's another one I want to watch because I don't think Trevor Reeves is going to be turning back the fountain of youths like every game, so they're going to need contributions from everyone.
I was just gonna kind of talk about the Lakers real quick because I talked about the Heat, but I think this is probably the most important time, and I think this probably is the best case scenario for them. Like you know what LeBron and AD are gonna bring, and even Kuz at times, even though I think he spends more time looking at his wardrobe than he does practicing.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like when you have all these people who are usually on the bench playing like 20 minutes, now they're playing 30, 35. I think that gives them that confidence to when they're coming back off the bench, they know how to play, they get more in rhythm. And that's even scarier because you're improving their depth. And I think that's the biggest thing with LeBron teams, or, when you have two stars or even three if you want to count Drummond now, is their depth. So if they get in foul trouble or if an injury happens during, the playoffs, or if one of them are having an off night, you know that you can bring in your whole second string or your, even some of the third stringers who have started a couple games, have came off the bench, played a lot. So this is an important time. So like even today, it was a close loss, but a 6 point game without your two best players and then Kuz is not bad at all to go, especially against the Heat, who have been doing good since I think February or something.
Mhm.
Um, so this is an important time for them. They probably will drop a lot more games, but just stay competitive and just keep getting better because you know what they're going to do in the playoffs when they get healthy.
Man, the Lakers better hope that they develop some role players because if they're going to keep rolling out Alfonso McKinney, oh my God,
Oh, well, he's not one of them. He's not one of them. He's not
Alfonso
one of them.
McKinney is
I
the
mean,
guy that was on the Warriors. Sorry, before I roast him, what were you going to say, Kyle?
I was gonna say I thought he played okay.
He played
Like
okay,
I know, yeah.
but
yeah.
no, right in this game. But Alfonso McKinney, and he had a turnover. He didn't have a lot of usage,
Mm,
so I can't say that he
mm,
had a horrible game. He made an open
mm.
shot. He had an athletic dunk, which I was surprised
Yeah.
by, because when he was on the Warriors and Kevin Durant's injured, Klay Thompson injured, like all these injuries up and down the roster, I think even Andre Iguodala missed a game. Alfonso McKinney was the guy that I'm like, okay, let's see Toronto win one. That'd be cool. Kawhi Leonard had that awesome shot against the Sixers. They took down
Yeah.
the Bucks. I'm like, cool. We the North. This is cool. And every time Alfonso McKinney had the ball, it's like, yes, this is like the sixth Raptor on the court. Like this is not going to be good for the Warriors. Whatever he's doing, if he's getting crunch time minutes, this is going to be bad news. And the Lakers better hope, in my opinion, that they have the rotation short up. That does not include him in the top seven, because that if he can show us athleticism like that, sure. But just in the times that I see him, he defends hard, but a lot of times he's getting lost in the flow of the offense. He doesn't know where to stand, or he doesn't have quick decision making, which will get you in trouble against top defenders like the Heat have. So, just my 2 cents on their rotations. And man, a lot of new faces all over the team. Because we had Alfonso McKinney, Ben McLemore, who was previously on the
Yeah.
Rockets, and before that the Kings. Like kind of on his last legs up until the Rockets gave him a chance. Mike D'Antoni gave him a chance, said shoot everything, and he shot. He was shooting tonight. 1 for 4,
Mhm.
25%. But he, I guess, imbued himself with confidence in Houston. So I think that you're going to see a lot more shots from him. I think he'll be taking Alfonso McKinney's minutes going forward as the Lakers
Question,
progress. What's up,
real quick. Do you guys think that Marc Gasol is like out of the rotation since Drummond arrived?
Kyle?
Uh, Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, they were discussing it too that if he's not starting, he's gonna be out of the rotation because it's gonna be Drummond, Harrell, and AD like taking all the spots. So they're you know they're only gonna use him and utilize him for certain matchups that they're trying to take advantage of. So it's really unfortunate and it sucks to hear, but yeah, I think he's just out of the rotation for the most part.
I don't think he's out of the rotation. I think that was kind of just something that the Lakers or Marcus Gasol wanted to say in the moment to save themselves from having to answer these questions again and again, like you do in all these times where there's like conflictions with the starters, or if there's a guy that's injured and they're like, is he playing today? Is he playing today? They say no timetable for return because they don't want to answer that question every time that happens. I think that one, with the Lakers being as injury prone as they have proven to be so far this season, unfortunately, that there's going to be a lot of need for him. I think Andre Drummond might need some time to rest that big toe because he's missing a toenail, which is very painful. Like, that's really, really painful. I'm not making light of that. But I think there's definitely going to be series. I think Marcus Gasol's not too proud to come off the bench. I think he wants to be any part of the championship team, even though he seemed that way on the Raptors. But now that he's gotten that championship out of the way, I think he's going to be willing to come off the bench on nights that Harrell is suspended for a game because there was a flagrant foul or what have you. They're going to have to do some tinkering. Their rotations are going to be very short, and he's going to be playing. So that's kind of my answer to the question. Long-winded.
Okay.
Uh, I was. It's pretty funny, speaking of ejections, both of the Morris twins got ejected today.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I was
know.
about to say that.
That was ridiculous. Yeah, man. And those
It
guys,
was so funny.
they get on my nerves because,
Yeah, they do.
like, I don't want to fight either one of them. But, like, when they're angry, they don't look angry. They don't always look angry, like, in an intimidating way. They look like whiners to me, looking at it from TV. However, Morris Jr. in this one, in the Heat, or in the Heat Laker game, got ejected because he totally threatened that ref in the corner. Like he
Yeah.
kind of squared up to him and kind of boxed him
Yeah.
into the corner, and the
Yeah,
ref
he
was like,
did.
"All right, you're out of here, bro." So
Yeah, he was really doing too much. I was really confused. Like it was clear that it wasn't even a no call, but then he went up to the ref and he like squared up to the ref anyway, and I was so confused and he kept talking and saying stuff to the ref, and I was just like what's like I don't get it. Like what's your problem, bro? Like you just need to chill. And his twin brothers the exact same way because he got ejected too in the Clippers game. So
does anybody know if they
Ow.
still share a bank account? Anybody know?
probably not.
They
They
definitely.
still share a bank account.
Yeah, when they were on the Suns
Uh,
as rookies, they had stipulations in their contracts, or you don't have to have a stipulation for this part, but they had their checks direct deposited into a joint bank account that they shared. Same tattoos, same
I
hairstyle,
didn't
beard
know
style.
that.
Yeah, for sure. And then they tried to negotiate with the GM at the time. They negotiated their contract together, like Step Brothers, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly style. Like, okay, you either trade us both or none of us. And then they separated them like maybe 3 months later, which is kind of messed up, I guess, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. You were saying, Kyle?
I was gonna say, Precious Achua, he had some great minutes out there tonight.
Lots of
There,
fouls.
yeah, well, lots of fouls. Schroeder was baiting him a lot, and kind of just some dumb fouls as well. But one thing I called him out for like a couple, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I said that he needs to work on his ball handling. This week, like he went out on a fast break and he was handling the ball, and I was like, oh God, this is gonna be a turnover. But no, he actually uh finished the layup through contact and stuff. I mean, they almost called it, or the Lakers bench thought it was a travel, but on the replay, it was clear that it wasn't a travel. So that kind of surprised me. But he had some athletic blocks. He was hustling in the paint. Especially when Bam was out. I think in like the third quarter, they were doing the same actions like handoff, dribble handoffs and pick and roll and stuff. And he was giving them a good punch on offense as well. So he gave them great minutes, and I think Miami, like if they were able to reach, if they're all healthy and they all live up to their full potential, like mainly their young players like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, if he's healthy. I feel like they have a really good mix of vet players with Trevor Ariza, Andre Iguodala, Udonis Haslem. I mean, you could probably kind of say Jimmy Butler, but what? Why are y'all looking at me funny when I said Udonis Haslem? Like he's a vet. He can lead these young guys like Bam, Tyler Hero, like I said, and I feel like they have a great mix, and if they were able to fully live up to their potential, I feel like they're probably the second best team in the East.
Wow, that's a bold statement. Robin, do you
It's
agree
the
with that?
second best team.
Yeah, if they live up, I mean,
So you would take him over the Bucks, 76ers.
I mean
The
they're pretty
Nets.
even. Well, I mean, no, the Nets are number one,
Like depending on who you
but
put number one on that day,
I
you're putting the Heat above all
well
the
well
other
that
ones.
yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying like if they were able to, fully live up to their potential, like getting the most out of Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Victor Oladipo, but Victor Oladipo's hurt now, and then Tyler Hero is like inconsistent. Like he doesn't make the right decision a lot of the time. But I feel like talent wise, like they're probably, I- in my opinion, they have the best mix of players and to be the second best team in the East. The Bucks and the 76ers are like, right there. The 76ers depth is a little questionable. Uh, you know, the Bucks have definitely improved, especially with Drew Holiday recently. Like he's playing really good. So I the Heat and the Bucks are probably, maybe interchangeable probably, but like I said, theoretically, I think they're the second best team.
Well, in reality, we'll see, I guess. So
In
the
reality, they're probably like fourth.
if they can keep climbing up the standings,
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
been kind
Yeah,
of hot,
just gotta
but
stay healthy.
yeah, stay healthy for sure. And I kind of wanted to just touch on one more aspect of the Lakers. What did you guys think watching Drummond tonight in his second, I guess, mostly full game as a Laker? Robin?
I think it looks like he isn't giving them, or I mean, obviously he's giving them rebounds, a good defensive, presence in a way,
Just
but
being a big
everyone's
body down
expect,
there is good, right?
yeah,
You know.
everyone's expecting more, but it's like he's not that type of center. He's not a Joel
Mhm.
Embiid, or he's more of like a Gobert, but more focused on rebounding, offensive rebounding. I think he's gonna like blend really well with AD and LeBron. I think now he's kind of just left out there doing the stuff that he can't really do because he's playing with not a bunch of bums, but a bunch of people who shouldn't be playing as many minutes as they are. Uh, but I think in the playoffs, he's going to be the one, as I think Chris Webber was saying, he's going to get you 3, 4 extra possessions a game, and those are going to be critical. That's 6, 8 points you can add on top. I mean, if he had 3 more offensive rebounds, they would have won the game today. You know what I mean?
I think,
So
yeah, you're right. I think everybody that is working, listening to this, and on this episode talking right now, has worked in a situation where you're just shorthanded and you got to do more than you normally have to do. That's literally what Andre Drummond is doing right now on the Lakers. You know, he's not supposed to create. He's not supposed to get three. He's not supposed to get more than three post ups a game. So it's unfortunate for those that aren't used to watching him. He is an athletic player. He can move his feet when he wants to, and kind of is in the open court and needs to, run up and down the court, get rebounds, of course, have second effort. He doesn't sky to, to the rebounds, but he definitely has a big body that can move guys out of the way. Props to Tyler Hero on that one particular box out,
Yeah.
to keep him, like I said, to keep him below their his season average on rebounds. But I asked that question kind of just to get us back to the end of that game where they almost were trying to mount their final comeback. They were within 10 points almost. Drummond kind of came alive. It seemed like he got an offensive board, a putback, had a big offensive rebound for them to continue to score, and then kind of when the Morris ejection happened that you mentioned earlier, kind of went all off the rails. Caruso drew a charge. Matthews had some threes, like he's kind of coming
Yeah.
back out of his coffin a little bit. I was putting dirt on it, and he's looking like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill, like the hands coming out of the dirt. So we'll see if that continues, or if I should shovel the rest of the dirt. But yeah, so as I shovel dirt on Wesley Matthews, I'm shoveling the dirt on this game. Are there any last words that y'all
I'm
need?
just mad you guys were looking at me crazy for saying the stuff I said about the Heat.
No, not about the Heat. It was just when you said Udonis Haslam's there. I was like, he doesn't
yeah.
even step on the court. Like
He doesn't have to. He's
he's an
a
assistant coach
vet.
getting
He's
paid as
talking
a
to them.
player. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's yelling at him. He's there to yell at
Yeah.
people. That's for sure.
Who's
He
y'all's MVP of the game?
Oh, for me, man, this is Jimmy Butler makes it so easy to pick him. It's Jimmy Butler. He facilitates,
I, c-
gets to the
I can't go
line.
against my boy.
Is that what you're picking too, Jimmy Butler?
Yeah,
Robin,
my
are you
boy
you got a
Jimmy
Laker?
Butler.
You got a Laker over there?
I don't know, Laker. Are we doing MVP, or are we doing second like how I did
No,
last week? I'm just
Nah,
I'm
kidding.
not. I'm
I'm
not.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
that segment is not
Uh,
returning.
I honestly, I'd probably do. That's gonna sound cheesy, but probably yeah, same person. I was into Jimmy Butler.
Oh, nice.
I mean, he almost himself had half the free throws the Lakers had. That's crazy. Like that's no.
Y'all saw that Victor Oladipo slam, right?
Oh, we didn't bring it up. I
Oh
got it
yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
What did I say? The notes say huge motherfucking slam for Oladipo.
Yeah,
Like, what the
that shit
fuck?
was sick, bro. I was like, dude, that shit was cold.
It's
He
kind of like he just like squirted his way in there.
Yep. You gotta spurt,
My-
spurt, and
Okay.
squirt.
All right. All right. That's enough. That's enough.
All right, Kyle. Do you want to transition us over to the next game on the docket, or Robin,
Yeah.
whoever wants to do it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and transition us to the next game, Phoenix versus the Clippers. Phoenix coming off this is the second night of their back-to-back. You know, last night they
What a game! I
won.
watched that whole
I
game.
know. Yeah, they came off a close overtime win against the Jazz, and they come over to LA, and you know, another great team in the West, you know, battling out for, you know, top three in the West, you know, who's gonna figure out those positions. Uh, the Clippers were favorited by 6 points, correct? I,
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought I thought they were crazy with how good Phoenix looked last night and how they've been playing overall, and the Clippers have been, you know, a bit inconsistent at times, but throughout most of this game, you know, this was a slugfest like I expected between both teams until it got until like the fourth quarter when the Clippers just started shooting the lights out on the threes and they were able to pull away and Phoenix went cold and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, man.
So
It was unnatural how many threes were
yeah,
going in for the Clippers, man. Paul George was sinking everything. Chris
mm,
Paul hit the side of the backboard, and I'm not moving
yeah,
on him. Like it really
yeah,
happened. The same spot
yeah,
that playoff P hit it,
yeah.
in the bubble.
Pandemic P.
Pandemic P hit it in the bubble. Like it was wonderful to watch. Seeing Phoenix play last night in that awesome game against the Jazz where they overcame in the overtime, and then seeing them play tonight with seemingly fresh legs up until the end. The thing that kind of just jumped off the screen to me is watching Devin Booker. Of course, he's got range; he can score. Um, but kind of like when I said Jimmy Butler doesn't seem like he is all that fast in open space. He's more of like a bruiser. Devin Booker is fast with the ball. Like I think of guys like De'Aaron Fox, John Wall, being fast with the ball, Kyrie Irving, of course, too. But Devin Booker's there, and he's got size on all the guys I just mentioned. 6'7", I want to say 6'6", and just being able to get to where he wants to go and being a fast break presence is something that you don't see from every guy in the NBA that often. Top scorers like LeBron James, well, he's a freight train, but Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, you don't always see them running in the open floor. All that often. Klay Thompson, these top scorers like that when he's healthy. But you can see the athleticism from Devin Booker, and you got to remember he's only 23, 20, he's 24, I think now. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really awesome to see, even though there was a loss and kind of a shellacking. Dude, speaking of big ass dunks, Kawhi Leonard with a big ass
Yeah,
dunk. Oh man, that was
yeah.
great to see. Uh, what y'all got? That's jumping off the page for y'all from this game.
I'd probably say regular season P came to play today. Um, I mean, he was hitting shots that was hitting the backboard in the playoffs. He was hitting them today, but he did his thing. Kawhi Leonard, he had a little off game. Usually, I never see him really turn the ball over like as much as he did tonight, which is weird to see because he's usually so he's not slow paced, but he's more fundamental
He's
footwork.
measured. I
He's
would
not,
say measured. Like he.
yeah,
Mhm.
because he can still jump over you and dunk it like as he did today, and he's strong. He has big hands, but he plays slow. He plays his game. But today, I felt like he was getting not rattled, but they were kind
Rushed.
of throwing him off his game. Yeah.
Mhm.
D Book, I like how he stayed aggressive. He only shot two 3-pointers. He got to the free throw like 14 times, which is
Mm,
crazy. But the shout out today has to go to Rondo. I mean, he had a plus 24, came in, was looking like Boston Celtics Rondo. I mean, he was shooting threes, he was doing layups, hitting
yeah,
nice passes. I mean, he kind of out point guard Chris Paul tonight, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Especially in the fourth quarter when it got somewhat close. I felt like Rondo was making sure everybody got the ball. I think they were talking about it on the halftime show, but now I feel like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard don't have to do as much as far as bring the ball up the court, make sure everybody gets involved, because that's when they were really like really good. They never did that. And last year I feel like they had to do that more, and eventually they started getting fatigued like in the playoffs, and then it just kind of threw them off their game. But this season, especially in the playoffs, they're not gonna have to get everybody else involved. They're just gonna have to find their games. So good pickup in Rondo, but the Suns are the even tonight on a back to back. I think they played the Jazz yesterday night, if I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
mistaken, and they went to overtime too.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But to come to LA and basically be really close to, it was a couple of shots. They were 6 for 24 from the 3 point line, so just a couple of shots away from just changing the game. The Suns they take a big leap, and I'm kind of happy to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's cool to see. Even when the Suns were going up neck and neck against the Mavericks in the 2000s, because that's the last time they made the playoffs. Even when I hated, as a Mavericks fan growing up, having them as a rival team, they were still fun to watch and something cool about them. I like their history. I like Charles Barkley, as a former Sun, taking them to at the finals. Um, but the things that stick out to me, you're right. So one of you guys mentioned that it was uncharacteristic of Kawhi Leonard to have so many turnovers. He had five. I noticed I wrote one down that Chris Paul had. I was like, man, Chris Paul with a live ball turnover, it got poked away from him. He's usually hyper observant of everyone around him at
Yeah.
all times, and it didn't end up going to anything because Reggie Jackson, who I
Yeah.
can't stand, uh, had to travel on the other side. So it didn't lead to anything wrong, but it just kind of made you think like, man, something's kind of off tonight. And their legs seemed a little dead in the fourth quarter. The Suns' legs did, weren't running up and down the court with such ferocity. I thought Mikal Bridges would get more minutes yesterday against the Jazz. He had 36 tonight. I guess obviously being more fresh, but defensive stopper. Big thing that stood out to me for the Suns was DeAndre Ayton. Like he had a really
Yeah.
good presence as a dump off guy, just
Yeah.
being a tank in the middle. Why does that guy look so old? He's like 21. Like his facial features just look like he's 36.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But props to him. Props to the Suns, and general managers around the league for letting Cameron Payne have just enough leash to like ride the end of the bench on the Thunder, on the Bulls. I feel like on the Hawks. Like where was he not playing up until he can get to Monty Williams and the Suns, where he seems like he kind of has a small role keeping the pace up. However, I did see that turnover where he live ball turnover, just turned it over to the other team and he got yanked immediately. So he's not a permanent backup point
Yeah.
guard, but props to them for rehabilitating his career. 6 years at the end of the bench, like that's a long time. I don't know how he lasted this long, but go Suns, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with DeAndre Ayton, he was a main bright spot on the Suns team tonight. There were so many like drives and dump offs. He was in the dunker spot like the whole time, and it was just like easy layups and dunks for him, because the other big guy, or the big guy that was guarding him, would go to the guard. Either it was Cameron Payne, like you said, or Devin Booker, or Chris Paul, whatever. But I felt like I felt like even though Devin Booker had 24 points, I felt like he had kind of an underwhelming game. But the Clippers played great defense uh, on him particularly. But in general, now that we're watching that game, it looks like the Clippers in general have a good defensive matchup against the Suns, particularly against Devin Booker and Chris Paul, because uh, in the first like quarter, first half, I saw Kawhi Leonard and Patrick Beverly on Devin Booker at
Hmm.
times, and then in the second half they started doubling Booker, and uh, passing isn't one of his stronger suits. He only had 3 assists, and Chris Paul only had 3 assists as well. So I thought that was a little underwhelming for him as well. Chris Paul didn't shoot well. Patrick Beverly, he actually did play solid defense, as much as I don't like him. Like I thought, he actually did play, pretty good defense on both Booker Chris
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah. The thing for me with Beverly is that I would love to have him on my team, but he just misses a lot of time. Like for the
Yeah,
most part,
yeah,
like just
yeah.
ticky tack injuries here or there that last like weeks at a time. It seems like,
Mhm,
and to your point, like the low assist numbers kind of give credit to the Clippers where they're stopping the ball
yeah.
movement and stop those assists from happening. They're closing out to the guys properly.
Mhm,
Robin mentioned Rondo earlier, and I'm not a Rondo fan like almost at all. I think he's
yeah.
selfishly unselfish. I think he's looking for the assist in a lot of situations, unless he's got like a true winning situation like he was with the Lakers last year, where he definitely showed his chops and really was making free throws. Where historically he's not a good free throw shooter, he's not a good 3 point shooter, but he does have some clutch moments and clutch gene in him. He played super well, and he kept different guys on the Clippers incorporated in the action. So big props to him.
Like
Patrick Patterson
yeah, Patrick
had
Patterson. He
so
he
many
got him
pick and
going.
rolls. Yeah, pick and rolls. He
Yeah.
didn't have a great shooting night, but he was literally active. Like I'm talking about exhuming people from under the earth. He brought Patrick Patterson further out of the grave. Him. They had who's the other
Uh,
guy? Oh, Batum, who is a
yeah.
facilitator and a ball, mover. He's just keeping everyone kind of touching the ball, kind of like in Space Jam. Space Jam 2's coming out this summer, where it's like, oh, touch the ball, everyone touch the ball, get your hands on the ball. It's kind of like that. So if Rondo can do that, then I can definitely see why the pickup, it can be beneficial because Kawhi Leonard, good ball handler, can make the easy pass, can make a good pass, good strength. Paul George, he had an almost MVP season on the Thunder when he was playing with Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook until he got injured.
Mhm.
He can handle the ball for sure. He can navigate pick and roll. But do those guys want to do that every other possession? No, they really truly don't. And you want to have those guys having fresh enough legs to go back to back on whatever given night, in the playoffs for 7 games in the 7 game series against the Nuggets because it's going to happen again. So that's kind of where I'm at with those guys. Oh, and then another props to Torrey Craig, man.
Yeah.
He followed up. Aiden had some good vision. Dump off pass to Torrey Craig, who yammed it home, and I was like, man, that is straight a product of him being in Denver playing with Jokic. Being a big man, knowing how to navigate a clogged lane. So that's something that not every guy knows how to do. That people want to say, oh, there's too many big men on the court. How's it going to be? How's there going to be enough spacing for guys to attack? You can do it. You just have to have some skill navigating those defenses and presences, even if it's not as easy or beautiful as 1 in and 4 out. So, yeah.
And I was gonna say, Patrick Beverly posted a donut today. He has 0 points. I feel like slowly over time, like like obviously he was just like more of a spot up corner shooter,
hmm
like three and
In
D
Houston.
straight up. But I feel like he doesn't do the three part anymore. Like,
He
you know what I
just
mean?
doesn't.
Like
Yeah.
he doesn't score. And then even on defense, like I think he has a lot of like fouls to where it's just like, okay, like I get it, you're a pest, you're gonna annoy the person, but some of them are dumb. Like your best option is to be available for the team. And even the one where he stopped Chris Paul and he did the little elbow, like that
Yeah.
was uncalled for. He could have just
Yeah.
fouled him. He didn't have to do the whole elbow thing.
hmm
Yeah.
And I feel
And it
like that in the playoffs is not gonna fly, especially because you might get suspended the next game, and then therefore you won't be playing the next game, and that's gonna hurt your team more than just not elbowing somebody. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the best
yeah.
He,
ability is availability.
yeah. So, yeah, he had a donut today though. I just wanted to throw that
Yeah.
out there. So did Jay Crowder. He had a donut as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
strange. Only 2 shots. So,
Mhm.
props to the defense and the Clippers, man. Like they've got a lot of dudes that can drive and kick. Like I think I
Mhm.
saw a possession where there were like 7 drives and kicks on the same drive, and everybody got it. Everybody
Mhm.
dribbled on that possession,
Mhm.
which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say like with Patrick Beverly, not scoring and then also making those dumb fouls, like getting ejected from the game, like getting technical fouls and stuff like that. Uh, it's I feel that hurts the team because, you know, you brought in Rondo, so that kind of alleviates the pressure a little bit. But at the same time, that if he, gets in foul trouble or he gets ejected from the game, that leaves the door open to where you got to bring in Reggie Jackson and stuff like that. So, yeah, not the you know, not the
Not
guy
the
you want
ideal
to lean
situation.
on.
Oh, and
But
that's the thing I was gonna say as well. Like they needed to get Rondo because it's like
mhm,
Reggie Jackson versus Patrick Beverly. Like those guys either aren't gonna be
yeah,
playing or they're gonna be playing bad. So you need a third
yeah,
guy to kind of shore up the roulette. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Uh,
then
Yeah.
oh, what's up?
no, I was just gonna say like, even though like Reggie Jackson and a bunch of other guys on the Clippers are, have averaging career high 3-point percentage. Like a lot of these guys on the Clippers, like they're shooting the three ball like really well this year.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so just looking at their lineup, they added DeMarcus Cousins and they have Serge Ibaka that's out. I don't really expect Cousins to get a lot of
Cause
run. I don't think
mhm,
he's going to make their playoff rotation kind of be like a break glass in case of emergency. Um, but to me, ideally, they get good minutes out of Patrick Beverly that are better than Reggie Jackson's. They get great minutes out of Rondo. And
mhm,
they kind of put Reggie Jackson third in the pecking order because that guy got his turnovers, man. Like he's got a good athletic, range of motion. He can cover open space well, but I think he's definitely third in the pecking order. Zubac, as much as he gets on my nerves, very solid, worthy of being out there. I think
mhm.
their
Yeah,
number one lineup is, of course the two stars, one of those three point guards starting, and then a good rotation involving, Marcus Morris, um, Batum, put Patrick Patterson out to pasture because it's not going to
Don't
last
forget
forever.
Ibaka.
And Ibaka, that's what I'm saying when he comes back. So I think that's their top like 7, 8 guys that I think are going to go into the playoffs with. So that's for
I
me.
I was gonna say the more I've watched the Clippers this season, the less like I believe they can win the West.
Oh, I think
the
I personally think
it,
they
the
would be exceeding my expectations if they got to the Western Conference Finals. I don't even
Yeah.
think that they should be even aiming for the finals. I think they should be trying to building block themselves into the Western Conference Finals.
My thing is, do y'all think it's championship or bust
I
for
think
them?
I think that's gonna be like their mantra, like to be like we're just as good as the Lakers. We're worthy of your dollars too, fans. Like that's what they're gonna say. But I think that they would be happy with a Western Conference Finals berth, win or lose, because I've read from Shams or I think it was Woj that Kawhi Leonard is looking into re-signing long term, whether or not it's mainly for his family, his lifestyle, as opposed to aspirations with the team. So I think they'd be happy with a climb as far as Western Conference Finals. I don't think it's championship or bust because they're gonna rotate all those other guys, not those two.
you, Robin, you said the more you watch the Clippers, the less you believe they're capable of winning it.
I just think the West last season it was three teams. It was a three-team
Mm,
race with really two primary teams within the LA teams.
yeah.
This year you got Phoenix who's looking really tough. Like even today off a back-to-back, basically held up with the Clippers. You got Utah who's balling out.
Mm,
I don't I gotta see it in the playoffs, but I believe they can do it. They
yeah.
got so much depth. Their bench is good. Jordan Clarkson is going berserk this season.
Hmm.
You got the Lakers
Donovan
when they
Mitchell
get
is
healthy.
going crazy
Lakers when they
too.
get healthy are gonna be good, and then you got the Nuggets who are getting better and better.
Woo! The Nuggets. Woo!
Yeah, the Nuggets.
And I ain't talking McDonald's, but I mean, there's five teams this season that I can see all five of them going to the Western Conference Finals
Yeah.
and even winning. Last season, I really only believed that the two LA teams were gonna win the West. The
Hmm.
Nuggets were really good last season, but I just didn't believe it. Uh, but this season, like the Clippers haven't stood out. Like I feel like they've gotten worse since last season,
I,
and the conference has gotten better.
I I feel like they haven't gotten worse. I just feel like they've only gotten like marginally better compared to other teams in the West who have gotten a lot better. I mean, the Lakers, in my opinion, haven't gotten well, actually no, they did have the pickups of Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell in the offseason, so they did get a lot better. Um, but yeah, I feel like they're still one of the top teams of the West. But yeah, the West is just like super stacked this year, like, even more compared to, others. But yeah, I, I the watching them this game, it gave me confidence in them that they can go far and can make it to the Western Conference Finals. Uh, it's just gonna be like a really hard road to get there. Even the teams below them are kind of scary. Like Dallas has been playing really well. The Trailblazers, they can be a threat. Nurkic is looking good, and CJ McCollum starts firing off. And if they fix up their lineup, if they stop playing Enes Kanter and Carmelo Anthony at the same time, but uh, other than that, like all the teams in the West are pretty scary.
I think the biggest threat for the Clippers is opposing centers like Jokic and Rudy Gobert eating them alive. Ibaka is going to be critical to not play the center, but to shore up the big man minutes and make sure that if, Zubac doesn't eat up, 5 fouls in 2 quarters, and then they have a big hole, And then no matter how good your perimeter defense is, you need some sort of interior option on offense and
Mm.
defense. So I think that's going to be key. Um, I'm up on their additions, like you said, Ibaka. I'm reluctantly up on Rondo for the moment because he did show it last year. He could be crucial in like all those hidden ways. But I think that the Suns are currently more dangerous than the Clippers. The Nuggets, like you said, the Lakers, if they get all their guys back, which I think that they should, especially by playoff time, those all have edged them out from their top two status from last year. So I agree with you.
And
Um,
like even today, just real quick, like I mean, Kawhi and Paul George, besides Rondo, were the only people that scored in double digits. I think they had like 60. They had more than half the points. So what happens when one of them are having an off night? Like who's gonna pick up the slack? I just think that they rely on them too much, like them, like the two stars, a little bit too much. So that's why they brought in Rondo, so he can kind of, you know, like
Get the
spread the ball to everybody else.
Yeah.
But my thing is like in the playoffs, you need your stars there every night, and I feel like I feel like their timing is in the good playoffs is never good. It's like one of them are having a good series and they rotate,
mhm.
but so they both be consistent every night, so where their other people can step up. That's just what I think, but who knows?
Yeah.
They
We'll
can
see
prove
what
us
happens.
wrong and they can win the chip.
Hey, I got they were favored by 6, and I won the bet tonight. We didn't mention the second game. You guys both
Yeah.
took the Suns on this one. It's on a second out of a back-to-back. But, it's just the way the
Yeah.
cookie crumbles.
I,
I
off of,
believe.
Oh,
off of
whoa,
overtime,
whoa! Why are you trying to
off of
make us seem like we're dumb for like? Weren't you
No, no,
last place
no.
last month?
I sure was, but it's a new month, baby.
Okay,
New month,
all
new me.
right.
But yeah. So what's the score for the month so far?
Me and Kyle are at a whopping 1-3, and
hmm
you are at a Dallas Cowboys two
Ooh,
and
two
two.
and two. Jason Garrett special, baby.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah. I mean, back to, the Clippers really quick. It,
you gonna
it really
you're
just
gonna roast these guys some more?
No, I mean, it really just depends on if Paul George is consistent in the playoffs. Like it's that Clippers curse, man, We'll have to see if it comes to fruition this year again. But, more than likely it probably will with just how tough the West is. But and then the Suns also kind of disappointed me a little bit this game because this was like the first game that I got to really take a closer look at them uh on the national stage
Hmm.
and they kind of let me down a little bit. I mean, obviously they're coming off an overtime win in a back to
Oh,
back,
in
so
a different
I kind of
city. Like I had to
yeah
do a double take. They were in Phoenix the other day,
yeah
and
they're in Phoenix,
tonight
so they
they're
had
in
to
LA.
yeah, so they had to make a quick flight and stuff like that. So, I do cut them some slack. But they were just like super off from three, and uh, if they just made a couple more 3-pointers, like able to slow the run down, especially in the fourth, like this could have been their game for sure.
I have one more quick question. How far down do y'all think the Lakers are gonna dip?
Let me pull up the standings.
So right now they're 1.5 games up of the 6 seed Blazers, and they're 2.5 games up of the 7 seed Mavericks.
And their upcoming schedule.
I
Let me see. Hmm.
it's really tough. I mean, yeah, you have to look at their schedule. I know the Mavericks have one of the easier schedules.
They have the easiest one in
So
the West, I believe, or if
yeah,
not, if
yeah,
not the second
since
easiest
the
in the
since
league.
the All-Star break. Uh, and the Trailblazers are sliding a little bit. They just lost tonight to Utah. They've had a couple of tough losses in the past couple or this past week. So Portland may slide a little more. Dallas may climb, but Portland is still a threat. And then depending on their schedule, they may drop to like seventh or eighth, or
Uh,
like worst case scenario.
I hope that this doesn't sound too hedgy. I'm not trying to hedge my bets too much, but I think that the worst case scenario is that they drop to seventh and become a nightmare play-in tournament.
I know.
They're gonna be nightmare for the top seed whenever they advance to the next round after the play-in tournament. And then the best case I think is they stay exactly where they're at. I don't think they're gonna be able to climb or get out of a hole that they're
Mhm.
digging themselves into right now because their upcoming schedule, it's mostly playoff teams. Play Brooklyn, who lost Harden for about 10 days, but they just got Kevin Durant right back.
Yeah.
What is this? And then
Mhm.
the Knicks, who play hard, Charlotte, who they're probably going to win that one because they're missing a lot of guys too. Then
Mhm.
Boston, and then Utah twice. So
Oh
Utah
yeah.
And they
twice,
Yeah,
play
that's tough.
Dallas soon
Dallas
twice
twice after that too. Yeah, so
too. Yeah,
Mhm.
their only gimme
they
is
can.
their only gimme is one of the Dallas games because Dallas doesn't seem to, give all the effort every
Mhm.
night. They lost to the Rockets like yesterday, and
Yeah.
then they beat the
Yeah.
Bucks tonight without Giannis. And then their
Mhm.
last gimme is on the 26th against Orlando. So yeah, I think that they could definitely get down to the seventh seed for sure.
Mhm. That's gonna be crazy come playoff time, and then especially if they, you know, make the finals or even win the finals, when if when LeBron and AD comes back healthy, that'll be a pretty interesting and bracket ruining storyline if they slide to seventh
Ooh,
and
we definitely need to make a bracket for this playoffs.
yeah, for
This
sure.
Oh
playoffs.
yeah, but that's just
Well,
crazy.
once the
Like, think
seeds are
of
set, right?
what do you say?
Well,
Huh?
once the seeds are set, right?
Yeah, once
Yeah,
the seeds are set, and
yeah.
then we do the teams and we predict the games as well. How
Okay.
many games it'll be.
I was gonna say, like, think of Utah or Phoenix like grinding all season to
Hmm
get first or second seed, and then you
They play
realize
LeBron.
play the Lakers. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
I know that would be the worst. Yeah,
So, uh-huh.
it would be kind of interesting too, because like, it would be probably Phoenix and Utah fighting for the number one spot in the West to avoid LeBron and the Lakers in the seventh seed. So whoever gets the second seed would have the tougher time there. So they may be fighting, or maybe they may even think it's better if they slid to like the third seed.
Oh yeah, what a shuffle.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. That would be real crazy. The Lakers
Yeah.
sharking
It's gonna be a
from the
good
bottom.
last month. I'll say that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so we were looking ahead at the Lakers schedule somehow, even though we were just talking about the Clippers and the Suns. What's
Yeah.
what's coming up next week on the docket for the
I'm
next
about to
national
check that right
games?
now.
Next week, the first game is Milwaukee, Atlanta.
Oh wow, Trey
Uh,
Young on the national
yeah,
stage. Ooh.
yeah.
Am I going to be writing the Hawks into my game log as a winner? Is Giannis going to be back? He had some
Yeah.
hamstring
And
tightness or knee
Yeah,
soreness, one of those.
something my
yes,
fantasy
yeah.
team realizes it.
Yeah.
And then the other game, the 9 o'clock game, is Celtics Lakers.
Hopefully the Celtics can try to show out and uh well, then again, Anthony Davis is still being reevaluated. Like he doesn't even have a
Mm,
timetable to come back really.
yeah.
LeBron's still kind of out of the lineup. And what I was gonna say was, if they're there, are they going to be able to take advantage of somebody like Robert Williams, who jumps at everything with great timing?
Hmm.
He's the Time Lord, but he's still a young center that is starting now since they traded away Daniel
Yeah.
Tice, and now he'll be going up against Andre Drummond probably. So
Hmm.
that's the matchup to watch. Robert Williams versus Andre Drummond. That's not what we thought we were going to be saying when the season started. But yeah,
Yeah.
of course, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, we know. You don't got to make that face, Robin. So looking forward to that. Challenging the users out there, the listeners, to watch those games with us. We love that you guys rely on us for the recaps, but if you guys watch at the same time as we do, and then you listen to our show, and then you have any contradicting opinions, we want to hear those. We want you to tweet at us. We had shout out to Chris, hit up our DMs on Instagram saying who we had in the betting line. We post those for you guys to interact with too and vote on it too. So really appreciate that. Please keep interacting with us. Any final notes on the Clippers or any general notes at all before we wrap up this episode? Any more questions?
I guess I'll just throw out there to make things even spicier about the Western Conference standings. The Jazz, Suns, Clippers, and Nuggets are 8-2 in their last 10 games.
They're
So I
all
think they're
hot.
all getting hot at the perfect time, while the Lakers are not. Kind of going the opposite way. So
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
gonna be fun to see how that plays out.
Yeah. This season I feel like it's definitely, the Western Conference is going to be the conference to watch in the playoffs. In the East, it's other than the first seed Brooklyn, I feel like it'll probably be interesting there, but other than them, I feel like it'll be interesting to watch.
Dude, seeing Philadelphia like terrorize these dudes in the East, that's gonna be fun
Yeah.
for me to watch, man. I love bully
Yeah.
ball. Man, Joel Embiid slammed it down like he was Shaq the other day. It was kind of a clear out, but he straight up just went up with one hand and almost like he was gonna tear the roof down. Like it looked amazing. Like I wish I could be that tall and strong.
Did you see the other day Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid go at it? Cat dunked on Joel Embiid. That was a sick poster. That was a
Yeah, it was,
sick
it was. But can I find the GIF of when Joel Embiid was laying on the ground doing the suck it to
that
Karl
was
Anthony
so
Towns?
dumb. I
That
was
was
like,
so
why are you
cool.
doing that?
Kyle,
I was like,
you don't
bro,
remember that
you're
era. You don't remember that era
no,
of
no,
WWE.
I do
Attitude
remember.
Era.
Yeah,
No,
well, it was
I
after that. Was it Attitude?
That was
Attitude was what was the Triple H and Bret Hart era? Oh, you're right. It was Attitude era. I just
Yeah.
remember.
Attitude. I know my WWE or WWF.
Yeah, but man,
Yeah.
Don't
suck
question me.
it.
No, I know that era too, but man, like I was never with that. I always thought it was a little cringy.
Dude,
I was like,
I love all the corny antics that Joel Embiid has. I love them all. He is such a troll. Like, remember when they mentioned him on Jeopardy and they were like, "What is a player nicknamed blank, blah 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 after tanking whatever?" And they were like, "What is do a 180?" Which is not the process. And then
oh no,
Joel
I
Embiid,
didn't know that.
you didn't know? And then Joel Embiid went on Twitter or on Instagram and he changed his name to Joel do a 180 Embiid instead of the process. That guy is such a troll. I love that guy. But yeah,
He seems like Bridger's in love with this guy.
he's so cool. But yeah, so that's it for me. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, that'll be it.
All right, well,
That's
I
it.
appreciate you guys joining us for a full squad episode of the Shot Callers. As I mentioned earlier, please hit us up on any of our social media channels, any of our podcast avenues. I'll name the podcast ones, and then Kyle's going to tell you about the social media and the email inbox. Please leave a review, like and subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment, interact with us, leave a rating and review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. We want to be in that up and coming hot growing category so that other people can find out about us. And if you know someone that likes the NBA, just use a good old text. Send them a link to our show via text. Tell them out
Yeah.
loud. Google the Shot Callers podcast and they'll find us anywhere. Where can people find us on social media, Kyle?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Shotcallers Show. That's at Shotcallers Show. And same thing with the email at shotcallershow@gmail.com.
Yeah, because we are taking submissions for the mailbag. So send us any
Mhm.
questions at shotcallershow@gmail.com.
Yeah. Leave us a like on YouTube. Subscribe if you enjoy our content. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when our videos go up because they can slide under the YouTube radar. Our subscriptions could get, drowned out. So hit the notification bell and leave a comment. Just hit us up and we'll love to talk to y'all back.
Cool. So for Robin, for Kyle, my name is Rich. Thank you for joining us, and we are the Shot Callers. We will see you guys next week.